Hello everyone, roguelike. Like Rogue. Games that are like Rogue, the 1980s PC game where you explore randomly generated levels filled with monsters, and if you die, you get sent back all the way to the start. Any future games inspired by these mechanics would therefore be called roguelikes. This is a common occurrence in the gaming industry where genres get birthed from influential titles, and somewhere down the line something great is born. So where are all the good Minecraft clones? No, really, where are they? You'd think with Minecraft being the #1 best-selling game of all time for over a decade, it would have spawned hundreds of iterations by now, yet all the public consciousness seems to be aware of are those crappy mobile game clones you can find on the App Store. So, one day, I wanted to answer that question. I wanted to see if you can actually make something original by copying Minecraft's formula, or if any attempts to do so would doom your game to becoming a pejorative clone. Now, let's set some ground rules. We're not covering games like Eco or Valheim because while they might look cubish or have survival elements, they don't have the 3D block game formula that I'm looking for. I want games that immediately make you think of Minecraft when you look at them. Games like Terraria or Core Keeper are also excluded because they aren't 3D, and I don't think Terraria was even inspired by Minecraft, but whatever. To begin, let's look at a perfect example of what not to do when being inspired by Minecraft. Possibly the most infamous Minecraft clone of all time, Fortresscraft 3D. For those of you who don't know what this random 2011 game is, I'm going to let Fortresscraft's community manager Keemstar explain it to you.
Alright, so just tell us exactly what is Fortresscraft.
Fortresscraft is a genre that was developed a long time ago. It was actually a genre that doesn't have a name. A game.
Why is he being so vague? How hard is it to say this game was inspired by Minecraft? Also, whoever made this interview for some reason said Keemstar created Fortresscraft, which is just blatantly wrong. He didn't make it, he advertised it.
Which is very similar, but very unique and different at the same time.
To show you just how unique and different Fortresscraft is, here's some footage of me playing the Steam version. I want you guys to own up. Who is this singular person playing this game? Oh, I do need help. This is the worst help screen I've ever seen. How can I make zombies? Zombies are experimental and require a keyboard. Why you can't turn down the music? This is already awful. I haven't started the game. When I finally loaded into the game, I was met with some awful hyper-realistic water. For some reason, Fortresscraft thought it would win over Minecraft's players by looking more realistic. But as a side effect of all that, the blocks look super blurry up close. It looks terrible, although there were much bigger issues with this game than the ugly graphics. Oh, they have diamonds, gold, iron. This is not a Minecraft clone, guys. This is completely unique. It's a really awkward, like, particle when you break blocks. You can't see what you're doing. There's a big cloud of smoke. You can see through walls. You can also glitch yourself into the wall by placing blocks. Like, it's like they didn't even play the game. They just kind of made something that looked like Minecraft and then gave up. That was it. How do you get in here? Okay, I guess I just clipped through the world. Okay, cool. By this point, I had gotten bored of Fortresscraft's shenanigans. It was abundantly clear that there was nothing to this game. So, why am I showing you this? Isn't this video supposed to be about good games? Well, the thing is, this story has a surprisingly happy ending where, you're not gonna believe this, the creator of Fortresscraft makes a sequel, which is actually a good game? To get to that, we need to talk about the developer of Fortresscraft, Adam Sawkins, and why he made this game to begin with. In an interview with The Guardian, Sawkins explains how he was browsing the Minecraft forums in 2010 when he saw a post titled,
"Bring Minecraft to the Xbox."
It was full of people saying it wasn't possible to get a Minecraft-style game working on the console. I posted saying that it was, but I was rebutted with the phrase,
"Well, noob, you know nothing."
Okay, I know that last part sounds completely made up, like who talks like this? Especially since I couldn't find any evidence of this post existing, but let's just go along with it. You have to remember, Minecraft Xbox Edition only came out in May of 2012, so there was at least 2 years of time to make a cash grab alternative for Xbox players, which is exactly what Sawkins did. After proving that you could run a Minecraft clone on the Xbox, he sold it on Xbox Live Indie Games, which as far as I could tell was basically just Steam but for the Xbox. And this storefront allowed pretty much anyone to sell their indie game on the platform, causing a lot of the games to feel low quality. Like, I'm not even kidding. The games with the most downloads in 2010 were all low quality Minecraft clones. That was the state of the Xbox Live Indie Games store. In a later interview with Eurogamer, Sawkins egregiously made the claim that no one will pay for Minecraft when they can pay $3 for Total Miner or Fortresscraft. Is this guy out of his mind? Apparently not, because somehow he made $2 million off of Fortresscraft. $2 million! That's more money than I'm going to make in my entire life, and this guy got that by creating the buggiest, most uninspired game ever. When Notch was asked for his opinion on Fortresscraft, he said, "I do not believe you can achieve something great or interesting by merely attempting to imitate something successful," citing Terraria as a unique game that borrows his style and does something cool with it, and Fortresscraft as an obvious attempt to take something popular and clone it as closely as possible. He wasn't wrong. Keemstar had an intense crash out where he used tons of slurs, and he began rambling about how Notch actually stole Minecraft from Infiniminer, but like...
Notch took another game, ripped it off, created Minecraft.
No. The comparison isn't accurate at all. The difference between inspiration and imitation are perfectly illustrated by these two titles. You can't argue that Minecraft stole from Infiniminer because fundamentally they are different games. Infiniminer is a mining PvP game, and Notch took that idea and turned it into a fantasy survival game. In other words, he was inspired by it, a fact he wasn't ashamed to tell people in interviews. On the other hand, Fortresscraft is such an obvious imitation of Minecraft that it doesn't even need explaining. The goal was literally to copy Minecraft and put it on the Xbox. There is no originality here. Now, in Fortresscraft's defense, it did add the ability to create custom blocks, which are shown off in this pre-built world that comes with the game. You can make these really weird NPCs? What the? Is that a dirt block in your mouth? Oh, this guy gets worse the more you look at him. Though I'm not sure if it's worth putting up with all the bugs and general ugliness of Fortresscraft just to make use of this one feature. Regardless, Sawkins seemed to take Notch's words to heart, because his next game attempted more than mere imitation. And that game was Take everything I just said about the first game and throw it out the window, because this game is completely different. Fortresscraft Evolved is an automation simulator where you build extractors near ores, drag the ores to your base with conveyors, and smelt them to do magic machine stuff. It is also a tower defense game where you must defend said extractors from enemies. If this concept sounds exactly like Factorio, then you'd be wrong. Because the crazy thing here is that Fortresscraft Evolved came out around the same time as Factorio, depending on how you measure it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get very far in Fortresscraft Evolved because it was too complicated for me. This is meant to be the tutorial, but I don't understand how what am I even supposed to be doing? Fortresscraft Evolved has one of the worst tutorials in any game ever. The text goes off the UI. How do you mess that up? But eventually, after 2 hours of gameplay, I figured out how to make an automatic smelter. It's working! I'm so smart. At least I think I did. This game is so confusing that I have no idea if I did this correctly. I really like the way the conveyors work in this game. You can place them in nonsense positions and they will still function properly, ignoring the laws of physics. You don't even have to craft any special type of conveyor, they just innately work like this. However, it is also a really clunky game. The main menu is confusing, the world creation is confusing, and the controls also are confusing somehow. I genuinely forgot what button the scanner was because it was set to some random button on my keyboard. Oh yeah, the scanner. Possibly the worst mechanic in this entire game. It's supposed to scan the floor. When you find a new block in Minecraft, all you have to do is mine it, and the game will say, you found iron ore. It's simple, and it works. But for some reason, when you find a new block in Fortresscraft Evolved, the game will refuse to elaborate what you found. It just shows this question mark. The only way to find out is to take out your scanner, scan the ore, then return all the way to your base to research it, and then, and only then, will the game reveal what you discovered. Why is this a thing? Imagine digging up iron ore and you get a question mark in your inventory. Like, that's ridiculous. That's basically my main gripe with Fortresscraft Evolved. It's obviously a very well-made game. Some people even say it's their favorite automation game. But it's also the type of thing you can only get into if you already know what you're doing. Which I did not, so it wasn't really for me. Although I did not see much of the game, Fortresscraft did prove two things. One, even if you start off as a cheap clone, you can redeem yourself and create something that's actually decent and unique. And two, you can mix and match Minecraft's mechanics to create new games. Which I know is a very surface level observation, but that proof did inspire me to look for more games like this in the hopes of finding another unique spin on Minecraft. And soon enough, I did find that game. A game so unique, you have to leave the Steam store in order to play it. I bet you're wondering, what is Vintage Story? Well, here's a rundown of its history using information from these two insightful YouTube interviews. So first off, positive Austrian representation. Tyron is an Austrian developer who discovered Minecraft with his wife, Sarati, around the time it was still in beta. Their favorite part was the uncompromising survival aspect, which might seem like an insane statement given Minecraft is not very difficult. Like, while trying to get footage for this video where I intentionally die in the beta versions, a skeleton came up to me and was somehow unable to hit me. That's how difficult this game is. But you have to remember, this was 2010, before anyone knew anything about the game, before YouTube was filled with tutorials telling you how to play the game, and before there was a in-game crafting menu that told you how to craft things. And when you're that new to the game, surviving the night appears to be absolutely impossible. At least until you survive a few of them and realize that all you have to do is place a few blocks and then you become invincible. Luckily, this is still the Minecraft alpha, so obviously more challenges would be added later to make the game more difficult. Except, if you know anything about Minecraft's development, you would know that never happened. The only threats coming to kill you were added in dev, and that was it, which heavily disappointed Tyrant.
We couldn't help but feel like it's not going the direction we thought it would go. Some mechanics they made easier, more approachable for a younger audience.
This led Tyrant to the discovery of the Terra Firma Craft mod, a mod that literally reinvents survival mode, making it a believable, challenging survival experience. Although, funnily enough, he also didn't think that mod was hard enough, so he made his own one. The 2015 Vintage Craft mod is a very realistic mod, with it completely changing the terrain generation along with even adding rock layers to the underground, just to parallel how rocks spawn in real life. It also has some previously mentioned added difficulty, with monsters becoming stronger the deeper underground you go. However, Vintage Craft's most important feature was not inside but outside the mod, found on Reddit. After heavily impressing a bunch of people with his terrain generation posts, Tyron caught the attention of a certain Hypixel CEO, who promptly hired Tyron to work on the terrain generation on their new game, Hytale. Oh god, Hytale. This is where the story takes a weird turn. For those that don't know, Hytale was going to be Hypixel's big competitor to Minecraft, a new game that promised vast improvements over pretty much every aspect of Minecraft. Announced in 2015, cancelled after 10 years of development. Also, I'm not even kidding, the night before I published this video, Hytale randomly gets uncancelled, so I guess there's that now. Tyrant's job was to make the terrain generation, and he did just that. Though after finishing it, he decided it also wasn't the game he wanted to make, as it was not a hardcore survival game.
I think you mentioned that you felt like this game wasn't for you, not the game that you wanted to make. Obviously, the game hasn't come out yet, but like, what did you not like about it?
So my impression was they also prefer targeting a younger audience. It was also not aimed at the very hardcore survival target audience.
Perhaps inspired by Hypixel's bravery to challenge Minecraft, he decided to make his own block game, Vintage Story. The first game on this list that realizes you don't have to copy the name of your inspirations just because they inspired you. Vintage Story is best described as the game Tyrant and Sarity wanted Minecraft to be. It's an experience defined by its uncompromising difficulty. Minecraft if survival mode was actually hard. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I'm thinking the same thing actually. When I heard that for the first time, I was worried Vintage Story would become like one of those super hard fan mods where the difficulty is so high it stops being challenging and starts being annoying. But luckily, the game I ended up playing was much more sophisticated than that. You can see the Minecraft similarities immediately. It looks like one of those hyper-realistic texture packs. Because the grass is the same, the way it makes the mountains looks the same, the trees are kind of the same, but I don't know. Also, apparently you can't just break trees, you have to spend 3 hours making an axe. So you get a rock, you get twigs, get another rock. Okay, and then you can make a axe head, I guess. Flint axe head? Oh, you have to manually chisel it out? This was the first moment in Vintage Story that I really liked. It made me feel like I was part of the process. Until I realized they just stole this from Fortresscraft. It works exactly the same in that mod. I guess I'm not allowed to like it anymore because it's copied. Okay, what happens if we chop a giant tree like this one? What? What happened? How did I shave the tree and then break my... Well, okay, I shaved the tree, but I broke my axe. Look, there's wood up here I can collect. I was cutting the bottom of the tree. Why is there wood up here? This is the first progression part of Vintage Story that, as far as I can tell, is different from Fortresscraft. And that's how you increase your inventory size. First, you want to collect a bunch of cattails growing from the water. And then what's unique is you can make a hand basket like so. Well, there's two things I actually like about this. One is the crafting requires 2 items in each slot, which is something Minecraft never does. 2, this is a cool way to, like, expand your inventory. Look, you equip the hand basket, you have 3 more slots. Like, who thinks to gather reeds to expand your inventory? That's new. Also, I'm glad this game doesn't seem to have a weight mechanic. That would be so dumb. There's some kind of cave. Why do I make, like, a Don't Starve character knockoff sound when I get hit? Like a modded character. Okay, before you come after me for immediately comparing the game to Don't Starve, I'll have you know, the voice was inspired by it!
I've heard that people say it's from Don't Starve Together.
It's inspired by that, yeah.
It actually is just Don't
By that,
Starve!
yeah.
Look at that, there's like an animal chasing something. Looks like night's already over. I didn't even see any monster. They actually did it. They made Minecraft look good with hyper-realistic textures. Ooh. Oh, I see something. A drifter? They gave me a pity light source when I respawned. I got killed by the Gru. What the hell was that? At least it tells you on the map where you died. There's another one of these things. Look at him. This is actually trying to be a horror mod. It runs away from me when I attack it. Okay, this game is officially better than Minecraft, okay? When you die, it points to where you died. And your stuff maybe doesn't despawn? I don't know, it looks like the items are meant to be on the floor, they're not bouncing about. Dying seems to have been optimal though, because now I have a light source and I can actually see stuff in the dark. The free light proceeds to immediately disappear as I again get lost and fall down a hole. Oh, there's another something here. The Gru! I hit the Gru. Did he die? He made like this noise. It sounded like he died, but I have literally no idea because it's so dark. Oh, you can see him wandering around down there. He fell down into the cave. You're so stupid. What are you gonna do now? I'm gonna kill him. I hit him. I wanna hit the Gru, but he's avoiding my attacks. What? Okay, maybe I can make a better weapon. Hold on. Let me craft something, guys. Spearhead, okay. He's gonna stand no chance. Right, now you're done for, Mr. Gru. Yeah, I can hit him now, actually. Where are you? He's throwing rocks at me! Oh, he's dead. His corpse is on the floor. I can harvest it. Oh, I see. Why does this guy have a gear inside of him? Oh. Don't starve, that sound. Whoa! I don't know what that was, but this game is fun. Oh my... There's another one of you guys. Get back here. He's like afraid of the lights. I'm gonna kill you. I'll get you. Oh, there's a spider. This game has so many strange monsters. They're so tiny. They look so silly. They're like little sloths coming to kill me. Oh my god, there's 5 of them. Oh no, I've made a mistake. Wait, this replaces my last stat spot. No, I don't know where I died. Oh, it's daytime now, but I have no idea where I died. Okay, no, we've survived 1 day in this game. Let's make a new world. What do you want? Oh! It's time we know what we're gonna do, so we're speedrunning. Flint in limestone. Break with bear. Okay, so I can punch rocks, but I can't punch trees. On my second time around, the biggest bottleneck was collecting clay, a resource that is both extremely rare and also required to craft stronger tools. It took me an hour of constantly resetting worlds to find it. It took so long that I instead found a rare carriage structure? It's a carriage. I still haven't found clay. I wonder, can you rob this guy? I did it. I did it. I found clay. You can break it with your fists, I think, but it's slow. There you go, clay. We can actually progress through the game. So, oh my god, we can make an anvil, home mold. You can make tools with this, a pickaxe mold. I guess we'll start with the anvil. Right, that took forever, but look, we have a mold. Wait, you have to build more? This is the part of Vintage Story that really impressed me. It wasn't enough to place a couple of clay blocks. If you wanted an anvil mold, you had to build the entire anvil. You want a new tool? Sorry, you have to build the mold first. And it was while building those molds that I realized this mechanic is a perfect microcosm of what makes Vintage Story work so well. When you craft something in Minecraft, the game doesn't want you to question what you're literally doing. You put items in a vague shape in the crafting menu and a tool pops out. It's an abbreviation of a real-world process. And it works because Minecraft is not trying to be a complicated game. Its foundation is simple enough that it allows different types of people to enjoy it for different reasons. Vintage Story is the complete opposite of this. It knows it can't outperform Minecraft, so it doesn't try to. Instead of reinventing the wheel, Vintage Story expands on the survival aspects at the cost of a lot of other mechanics. You want to cook your clay? You have to physically add each ingredient to create a fire. A fire that wouldn't start because it was raining. To solve this problem, I had to gather a few blocks, cover the fire so it wouldn't get wet, and only then did the game let me start the fire. When I later wanted to make charcoal, I had to hide logs underground to separate them from the oxygen and then set them on fire. That's actually how you make charcoal in real life. I can't dig for ores because this is a realistic survival game. You can't break stone with a bunch of twigs, so instead I had to begin panning for ore. Which is the point Vintage Story started to feel a little grindy because, what the hell, I spent 15 minutes panning to find enough copper for one tool? Though I also found some fully completed tool heads in the process, so I guess there's that. To some, this might seem like the type of game that's only playable if you have something to listen to in the background, considering every minute thing has a whole process attached to it. And I think that's a valid opinion. Vintage Story is clearly not a game made for everyone, and if you don't like it, then that's okay. It's trying to appeal to a very specific demographic, and if you are that person who plays Minecraft exclusively for the survival aspect, then this game is quite literally made for you. Another thing I really enjoyed about Vintage Story was the horror aspect. What is that noise? What? I know I laughed at the creatures a lot, but I really do appreciate all the little things the game does right to take advantage of the inherent fear of trying to survive in the wilderness. The way the monsters retreat into the darkness when you hit them, only to suddenly return when you least expect them, is peak horror. Vintage Story genuinely feels like one of the few survival games where nighttime is seriously deadly. Like, I could not do anything without being bullied by a bunch of slot people, to the point that the only reasonable strategy was to pile up and wait the night out. While in normal Minecraft, waiting 10 minutes could be considered extremely boring, in Vintage Story it's actually quite helpful because it gives you time to craft your clay molds. I later tried building a wall to avoid the slot people, but they circumvented that by spawning inside my base directly in front of me. They just spawned in front of me! How is this fair? Apparently, the entire reason the horror exists in this game is because of Vintage Story's lead model and texture artist Sarity.
Let's start with Vintage Story having horror elements. Are you a fan of horror, or your wife is a fan of horror? And like, what inspired the horror elements?
That's mostly my wife. She loves horror games.
The little slot people are based off the small children from the first Silent Hill. And that's just another fun bit of trivia. It's another one of this game's inspirations. Vintage Story didn't come from nowhere. It has an eclectic range of sources it draws from, whether that's Terra Firma Craft, Minecraft, Don't Starve or Silent Hill. And it uses all of them to create a game that's more than the sum of its parts. Everything ever created has to come from somewhere, and Vintage Story is no exception. And if there's one thing Vintage Story proves with that, it's that you can make a successful game by being inspired by Minecraft. Out of any game on this list, it's probably the one you've heard of due to its rising popularity in recent years. So that's it, right? Video's over! We've shown you how you can make a good game by being inspired by Minecraft. The thesis is proven! What else is there for us to do here? Well, if the video ended here, that would be very boring, so instead, I want to see how far someone can take this concept. If Vintage Story is Minecraft if it was entirely about survival, and Fortresscraft is Minecraft if it was about computing and automation, then what sorts of other games are possible if you focus solely on improving one of Minecraft's other aspects? To start that journey, I went to the most absurd, deranged, mechanically incomprehensible game that I knew of, and that game was... Also, this next part of the video was recorded when I was sick, so if I sound like I'm dying to death, that's why. Just look at this footage, okay? You spawn into a world and everything is normal, then you start turning your screen and trees and blocks pop in and out of existence for some reason. A mountain appears out of nowhere, snow starts spawning, a desert appears to the left. The trees that were just in front of you are replaced by this huge mountain. The mountain starts moving to the right as a desert with a palm tree appears for a split second, then some water appears. The mountain is now nowhere near you as it gradually gets replaced by the biome that was there initially, and it's as if nothing had ever changed at all. So, what is happening here? This game feels like AI Minecraft if it was actually good. This is 4D Miner, a game that's like Minecraft if the whole world was 4-dimensional. You may know this concept from a very popular video made by the developer Mashpo, in which he showcases the basics of his game.
On the surface, this game does look quite a bit like Minecraft, and the inspiration is undeniable. But things like building, collecting resources, and simply navigating the in-game world are completely different.
What you may not know is that 4D Miner has a playable demo on Steam, allowing you to experiment with its strangeness firsthand. But before we do that, how does the fourth dimension actually work? Well, allow my body double to read the Steam page's explanation for you.
Imagine there was a two-dimensional being named Frank, and you wanted to show him a 3D world. Since Frank can only interact with 2D objects, you can let him explore a 2D slice of a 3D world. If Frank can only interact with a slice of the 3D world around him, he won't have a very good understanding of the third dimension. If you really want him to understand the third dimension, we have to allow him to rotate a slice of the world so he can access all of the third dimension. In a similar fashion, this game allows us to rotate our own 3D slice of a 4D world. This means we can explore the entirety of the fourth dimension.
Some very compelling mechanics emerge as a result of this fourth dimension. Because the monsters in this game are 4-dimensional, they can freely inhabit parts of the world outside the player's vision, which means if you aren't careful, you might get attacked by something you can't see because it's in a different plane of existence. Other times, you must turn your camera to find items on the floor you wouldn't normally be able to see because again, they're in a different plane of existence. But anyway, it's not often you get to play a 4D game, so let's do some experiments with it. Experiment 1. What happens if you dig yourself into a hole and then start turning your camera? Will the walls close in on you and suffocate you, or will something else happen? This actually makes a lot of sense. Well, that was a nutty conclusion. Experiment 2! Or, I guess it's not really an experiment. Hypothesis 2! The optimal way to strip mine in 4D Miner is to constantly turn your camera so you don't miss ores that could be hiding in the fourth dimension. Oh, and that block I just broke. I can't mine anything, the walls keep moving. Look, the tunnel I made is gone. It's like I'm in some kind of moving house. Oh, wait, I found redstone. Okay, now look, this is crazy, right? If you just turn your camera, the ore disappears and it's like, oh, there's nothing here. To find this, you have to turn your camera back. And then you can see the redstone. What even is this? Iron? Iron is red? Am I colorblind? Look at this, there's a cave system here. Except the cave isn't there if you turn a certain way. The next logical experiment was to try building a house, which went decently, but I ran into problems you would only encounter in a 4D world. Most prominently, if you turn your camera even slightly, your entire house disappears. Which, to be fair, can be used to make the coolest entrance out of any house ever, but it could also lead to you losing your home and never being able to find it again. Where did my house go? This was because my 3D house only partially existed in the 4D world. It would only appear to you if you perceived it from a very specific angle. So to fix this problem, I built a new one. One with walls on every side, on every single side, so that no matter how you turned, there will always be walls surrounding you. It doesn't matter how you rotate, you'll always be in the house, and there's also a staircase that leads to the second floor, but that staircase isn't there all the time. Sometimes it's gone if you change. It looks actually pretty good. Like the house doesn't disappear, there's no holes. Glass does form, allowing you to see the monsters outside, but you are safe. Although, this little thing you see, this little home, took me, I think, around 400 blue blocks for all the walls, which is like, this place is tiny and it took 400 blocks. But that's also somewhat countered by the fact that the hammer breaks multiple blocks when you use it. It's a cool little gimmick, but I'm not sure what you could do with it, because like most of the time when you try to utilize it, you look like you're in some kind of experimental horror game. I'm honestly torn about my opinion on 4D Miner, because on one hand, adding the fourth dimension to Minecraft is the most genius idea ever made. But on the other hand, it feels like a gimmick that's more annoying than interesting. Let's start with the good. 4D Miner shows us the hidden benefit of copying Minecraft. That being, you can experiment with radical new features such as the fourth dimension and still have them make sense. I'm pretty sure this game would be utterly incomprehensible if there wasn't the common Minecraft ground linking it back to reality. Everyone and their mother, their grandmother, and great-grandmother is already familiar with Minecraft. You don't have to learn how to build, how to survive, or how to progress because you already know all that. The only thing you have to learn is how the fourth dimension impacts those mechanics. If you want to build a fully safe house, you have to cover it on every possible plane of existence. If you want to go mining, you have to constantly change your perspective of the world on the off chance you find an ore you would have otherwise missed. This is how creative ideas evolve. You take one thing and ask, but what if it was 4D? And you make a great game. Kind of. Here's where the negatives come in. I'm not entirely sure what the fourth dimension adds to 4D Miner, which sounds like an insanely hypocritical statement given all that I've just said, but it's true. It really feels like a gimmick in its current form. Does constantly turning your perspective while mining sound like fun? Because it was irritating in a way no game ever was. Same thing with building. The fact you have to build 4D houses makes the resource requirement exponentially bigger than Minecraft. And is that a good thing? I honestly don't know. Maybe if you like building 4D houses, then this is cool, but it objectively takes longer. So, to test my new thoughts, I decided to do one more experiment. Is it possible to play 4D Miner without interacting with the fourth dimension? That is, play the game entirely as if it's a 3D game and not a 4D one. At first this sounds like a crazy YouTube challenge that forces you to play the game in some niche way, but would you believe me if I told you that it is actually easier to play 4D Miner without interacting with the fourth dimension? You don't have to deal with getting lost, you don't have to spend 20 minutes building a tiny house, you don't have to deal with constantly scanning for ores. It even makes the world prettier by not having it look like the Farland's ugly cousin. So, what's the catch? Surely there's something preventing me from playing the game in 3D. I thought the biggest obstacle would be the monsters, since their whole purpose appears to be that they attack you from planes you can't normally see, forcing you to shift your view of the world. But this was not the case. Because of the way monsters are programmed to walk towards the player, they'll inevitably enter your field of vision before they can ever surprise you. It really is simpler to not interact with the game's main mechanic than to try to play with it, which seems like a major design flaw. Granted, the game's nowhere near done, there's still a long list of features just waiting to be added, which makes all of my criticisms null and void, because they can all be fixed whenever 4D Miner releases. And to be clear, I am not trying to say that 4D Miner is a bad game or that it has zero potential. I'm actually very fascinated by the methods people use to build things in this game. You really have to learn a lot when building. On top of that, if you get the Patreon build of the game, you can actually play multiplayer with your friends. So if all you want to do is build stuff in 4D with your friends, then 4D Miner is pretty much the perfect game for that. However, 4D Miner isn't just a building game, it's clearly trying to be a survival game as well. But if that's the case, then I have to once again ask what the purpose of the fourth dimension is. If the game can be fully playable in 3D, then you're basically just playing Minecraft in-dev with significantly less features. With that in mind, it begs some serious question about the purpose of the fourth dimension, and more broadly, the point of this whole video. Because I don't think anyone is going to argue that 4D Miner isn't a unique game. Sure, it has taken clear inspiration from Minecraft, but it's turned that inspiration into a completely original idea. But does being original make something fun? I don't know if I can say that it does. Going into the fourth game, I was feeling a little miss-end-game-offic, because outside of Fortresscraft Evolved or Vintage Story, there didn't seem to be any obvious ways to expand on Minecraft. I guess you could add some kind of gimmick, but as 4D Miner has proven, just because something's original doesn't necessarily make it fun. So here's a new question. Why do these developers make this type of game in the first place? With how limited the possible innovations are, it seems more reasonable to start any other project than try to derive off Minecraft. And yet there are still those that do. So why do they do it? Is it because they think they can do it better? Is it to change the experience to suit their own needs, or is it for some other reason? To answer this question, I did something that I have never in the history of this channel done before, and that's ask them. Just ask them. The next game was so interesting to me that I interviewed its creator and just asked them why they made the game they did. And before I reveal you those answers, let me introduce you to Allumeria, a project so new it only started development earlier this year. The best way to describe Allumeria is it's Minecraft if it had the Terraria progression system. And instead of telling you how that made me feel, let me show you instead. Yeah, you can tell this is meant to be Minecraft, like, you don't even have to move your screen. I saw an animal spawn. Although it does have a little bit different trees. That's the first thing you notice. I think this is the first game we've played that actually just lets you cut the trees with your fists. We also only have 5 hearts, so that's a little bit different. You can see the little equip slots here. It is just like a Terraria type game. What's this? Okay, this is a dungeon? What the why? What's up with the water? Is it meant to be like that? I guess it is. Okay, so there's a dungeon. We're already seeing... Oh god, what mob do we add to make sure our game is different from Minecraft? How about a skeleton that burns because of the sunlight? At least he doesn't shoot at you. Well, I guess skeletons are also like basic fantasy stuff. Sneakers lets you sneak around. Oh my god, I'm in love with this already. You break a crate, you get like potions and stuff. You don't have to play the game, you can just explore dungeons and collect stuff. They all give you items when you kill them as well. What's that guy? I think he's shooting at me. He is. Let's, like, craft a weapon, maybe. Guess we make a flint axe. Could also make a bow. Flaming arrows. Drink my health potion. And as you can see, there's like a cooldown like in Terraria. You don't lose durability on your axe as well. It's also like Terraria. No! A normal person would have given up here and assumed they were too weak for this dungeon. Unfortunately, I am not a normal person, so I immediately returned and tried to mine the iron bars, only to discover that the dungeon was indestructible until you reached its end. I don't want you rushing in and getting all the loot. Look at this, there's a ladder here that goes to something that's actually not locked. A jumping mean increases melee damage, hold on. Wait, with a catch? What's the catch? Oh, that's the catch. I'm not jumping around. I'm not playing with that. These guys do a lot of damage. Why can they climb ladders? They float to the top immediately. Why can the items climb on ladders? Okay, that's the end of the dungeon. It ends with a green chest. A forest pickaxe? The balance of the forest has been disturbed. I'm progressing through the game? I'm guessing this lets me mine those bars. I think that's how Terraria works. I've actually never played it. Let's mine these bricks so I can make a house out of them. Let's take this dungeon with me. Actually, I like the flooring more. Oh, so it's like that. I see. Okay. I'm having fun. You know, I'm having fun. I like this game. It might seem like a clone. I mean, it kind of admits it is. But it does some interesting stuff, you know? Like, why not combine Minecraft and Terraria? Going into this video, I really wanted these games to be revolutionary masterpieces. Because if they weren't, I felt like people would make fun of me. How else is anyone supposed to take this video seriously if every game wasn't made by some game design virtuoso? But here's the thing, Allumeria reminded me that just because something is simple does not mean it can't be extremely fun. Allumeria is not doing anything groundbreaking, it's using the Terraria progression system, a tried and tested formula that many games have utilized before. and yet it's probably the most fun game I've played on this list. No way you can swim in lava unharmed. A statement I almost feel bad for saying because it does not have nearly as much content as the other titles, but it's true. Just listen to the way I talk after completing the first dungeon. Okay, flaming arrows. Here's a pro tip for Allumeria or whatever this game is called. Shoot the wizards with a fire arrow, because then they don't attack you when they're burning. I don't know. This is
levers and dungeons.
This is levers and dungeons. Although I will say, out of any game so far, Allumeria really makes me think about where the line between inspiration and imitation lies. Because while sometimes it's obvious a developer is just copying someone else's homework, other times the game rests barely on the line's edge and you can't really tell if it's plagiarism or not. However, after speaking with the developer Unobtainable Melon, I discovered that if you truly love something, you would never plagiarize it. Our story starts in 2011, which is when Uno Melon first heard of Minecraft through their friends. They would get the Pocket Edition later, but because they were a kid at the time, they mostly played in creative mode. Uno Melon also learned of Terraria pretty early on, but they didn't like it nearly as much since it had no creative mode. Though they do note that they began spending more time with Terraria as they got older and were able to appreciate its unique gameplay, showing nothing but respect for its developers. When I said Allumeria is like Minecraft if it was Terraria, that wasn't something I made up, it was the developers' words. Uno Melon later began messing around with programming in 2013 using GameMaker 8, a program they made many games with, learning a lot about coding and making art assets. Putting these glasses on, I can't stand not seeing anything. When asked what got them to make Allumeria, Uno Melon responded with, "Well, as a kid I loved Minecraft a lot, so naturally I would try to make my own versions. I think most game developers will go through a stage where they just try to make what they love." Adding on that at one point, and this is my favorite part, they wanted to work at Mojang so much that they actually began learning Swedish for a little bit. Before then, they chose a more realistic life goal of becoming a software developer who might make games on the side. To quote them again, a concept I heard a lot in the game dev ecosphere was the idea of a dream game, a game that would be your ultimate ideal game. And I used to think I never had one. The problem for me was that my dream game seemed to already exist, Minecraft. Despite this, Uno Melon grew disillusioned with the game as they got older, being able to notice flaws that their younger self was unable to see. As I grew my own skills as a game designer and had the tools to dissect Minecraft's gameplay, it started to feel really strange and flawed to me. It felt like an unstable Jenga tower. Mojang was too scared to touch the base and break what was already working, but kept stacking more pieces on top to compensate. Uno Melon found mechanics like hunger and tool durability were only there to really waste the player's time. Also, I just want to pop in here to say that I don't necessarily agree with everything Uno Melon is saying. Like, I don't think hunger and tool durability are these huge problems that need to be fixed, but I also think it's interesting to listen to people's thought process on why they made the things they did. To quote them again, the hunger system is only really a challenge for the first hour or so of gameplay, and then it becomes just an endless chore. The challenge is gone. Modern Minecraft encourages you to keep the same set of tools and invest time in making them good. But then you have to keep repairing them over and over with experience. I prefer games that allow you to overcome a challenge, and once you have proven that you can do it, it is no longer an issue. So it wasn't until very recently that I realized Minecraft was no longer my dream game. It could be something like Minecraft, but what if I was able to make my own thing that didn't share the same broken foundations of Minecraft? This breakthrough led Uno Melon to write a design doc in 2024, fixing what they saw broken with Minecraft, and eventually finally starting development of Allumeria in January 2025. From the sounds of it, Uno Melon is probably living a lot of people's dream right now. They have demonstrated clear skills in both programming and making art assets, and are using that knowledge to make their own game. What could possibly be bad about that? Well, Marketing. Marketing. Trying to advertise a game which looks like Minecraft proved to be a great challenge, with most people on Reddit immediately writing off the game as a cheap clone. However, despite the initial negative reception, Unomelon pushed forward and found Allumeria's audience in an unlikely place: the beta Minecraft community. Regardless of what you think of this community, and trust me, there is a lot I could say, its player base turned out to be the perfect way to get Allumeria's name out there, as after emailing their game to Dialco, a YouTube channel who covers old versions of the game, Unomelon found that his audience was very receptive to Allumeria. So receptive that the downloads of Allumeria spiked overnight and haven't really lowered since then, creating an active community around a game that previously had none. It turns out the best way to satisfy a bunch of angry, nostalgic players is to just give them the game they want and you actually get a lot of money. When speaking about negativity, Unomelon said, "I do get the occasional comment made from passers-by, but what I think is important is that the people who like this type of game really seem to love Allumeria, and that's what keeps me going." A nice reminder that just because you don't find people who like your project immediately, doesn't mean they aren't out there. Going into this video, I thought most people would be against the idea of a game improving on Minecraft, and it did seem that way for Unomelon, at least in the beginning. But judging from the player base they found after pushing past the negativity, it turns out a lot of people resonate with the issues Unomelon saw with Minecraft, which I think just settles the inspiration versus imitation debate once and for all, because if you truly love a piece of work so much so that you can see the flaws in it and want to improve on them, I think a lot of people will be able to see that. On the other hand, if it's obvious you're only creating something to cash in on the hype, it will be really hard to care for something that not even its creator cares about. If you want to see the full conversation I had with Unomelon, I'll link it in the description, but for now, I want to show you what Allumeria is really like with all this knowledge in mind. Also, I have a Twitter now, so go follow that so I don't look like a fraud trying to interview people for future videos. There's Blue Sky too, if you're that type of person. Another painting. I like how paintings are collectible items. I can climb up surfaces. Okay, so I can like double jump on walls. That's really fun because now you can just sit in the corner of a room. I love this so much. Like, I completed the dungeon and now I can go explore the areas that were blocked off. Oh my god, I can't be... You're being locked in there for all eternity. Bye-bye. Skeletons have so much health and I still haven't figured out how you craft a sword. Oh, there's a bunch of them here. We could run past them. Oh. Like that. I took a lot of damage, but I have a health potion. Now the last place is here. Alright, what's in the last place? Another painting, more deer skulls, and jump in midair to activate. What? Oh wait, there's something here as well. I can run with the boots of sprinting. Okay, that was actually a really fun time. I like that. Let's go play the game now. Oh, I forgot I had that. It's just the Terraria double jump you get. It's actually really useful. How is this the first time I'm seeing this in like a Minecraft game? Like if you want to quickly get up a mountain. There you go. You also can glide down because of the parachute. Wait, hold on. These items combo really well. We can literally just fly now. I like how all the items interact. I can climb a tree. You could make like a base up here because like I can fly. Why not, right? This is just a normal tree until you fly or climb. And oh, you're in a hidden base now. By this point, I needed rocks for my house, so I crafted an actual sword and began exploring the mining aspects of Allumeria. Possibly the best decision I made in that game. The sword was able to kill monsters in a reasonable time frame that I have no idea what I was doing with that axe before. No, this is great. Like, you break crates, you get health potions, you get like a turnip, a heartbeat. Wait a minute. Increases your max health by 1 heart? There's spike traps, Ah, what the? And some of them are very deviously placed. One of them was on top of an ore I was mining, and it blended in so well. Oh, there's a spike trap on the ore? That's crazy. My favorite detail, though, are these white eyes that watch you from the dark when you're mining. Which could be a reference to that ancient Minecraft creepypasta, but I have no idea. It was the one question I didn't ask. You can see their eyes in the dark. I like that. It's a creepy little detail. The last thing I want to talk about is the building aspect, which I find interesting because of the hammer. The hammer lets you alter the shape of blocks to whatever you want. If you want a bunch of red stairs, you don't have to craft red stairs. You select stairs on the hammer and turn your desired block into stairs. This works on every block in the game, so if you really wanted to, you can change dirt and stone into fences, or turn blue lamps into flooring and create a blue hallway, which, by the way, actually emits blue light. There's a bunch of lanterns in this game, and they each emit the color of their lantern. There is so much potential with how convenient this building system is. I hate having my inventory flooded with slight variations of the same block. This makes everything easier. It makes building easier. Building. Here's an interesting fact about every game on this list. Despite covering different genres, every game so far has some sort of decorative building system. Late game Vintage Story is all about building, and even Fortresscraft Evolved lets you paint your base for no other reason than to look good. It seems that no matter what direction they go, every Minecraft-inspired title inevitably has some form of building. It's like an innate part of the DNA that they just can't shake off no matter how hard they try. So what if there was a game that looked like Minecraft but wasn't about building? A game so anti-building that it actively discourages you from trying. What do you think a game like that would look like? Well, the answer to that question is... Wake up! Minecraft is not normally thought of as a horror game, and yet there are features in the game which exist for the sole purpose of scaring the player. I can't count the amount of stories I've heard of people growing up afraid to play Minecraft because of creepy cave noises and spooky music discs. This fact is greatly compounded by the beta version's thick fog, which could easily hide a terrifying monster secretly watching you from the dark. Except, I hate to be that guy, but this fog is not actually from the beta versions. Fun fact, what's commonly referred to as the beta fog has existed in release versions of the game, all the way up until 1.7.2, where it was reduced from 75% to 25%. Even then, the eerie low render distance fog still partially existed, taking until 2021's Caves and Cliffs Part 2 to be finally removed. Regardless, the idea of Minecraft secretly being a horror game has inspired many amazing art projects online, and one of those is Lucid Blocks. My introduction to Lucid Blocks was this random video titled Fun Under the Sun, and it showcases this dreamy alternate universe version of Minecraft that is just... Is that a grappling hook? As much as I would like to use that thing, unfortunately, at the time of recording, Lucid Blocks is only available to a select few playtesters. It's not out yet. But thankfully, the creator was nice enough to let me be one of those playtesters. And oh my god, let me just say, Lucid Blocks is such a strange game that I feel like showing any gameplay of it would be spoilers. Genuinely, just understanding how the UI works would require me to explain mechanics you might want the satisfaction of figuring out yourself. So instead, I'm going to start this section off with the backstory of Lucid Blocks. Eric Alfaro, or more commonly known as Lucy B. Locks online, started making games on Scratch when he was around 9, with one of his early games being a Bloons fan game. He later tried picking up other game engines like Unity or Unreal, but because he was just a kid at the time, he didn't have any programming knowledge and quickly dropped that idea. It wasn't until he was 14 during the COVID years when he began learning how to use Godot, using it to make a bunch of unreleased Dreamcore games inspired by Yume Nikki. The footage you're seeing in the background aren't those games. These are games Eric developed later when he was much more experienced in Godot, but it was a process that led him to study computer science in college. Eric found out about Minecraft when he was a kid, but couldn't play it because his laptop was garbage. That's a quote, by the way. Only being able to play it when Pocket Edition came out in 2011. Surprisingly, Eric still plays it occasionally, though mostly for the PvP aspect. The spark which motivated Eric happened during a play session with his friend in the summer of 2024. Because of his in-depth knowledge of the game, he started to hate it. Eric would only notice flaws about survival mode, aspects of the game that just didn't make sense and took away from his enjoyment. His frustration was so great, he decided to start a pet project. A new block game which would fix all the problems of Minecraft. In particular, he would remove the hunger bar because it was annoying, saying, "It's like the game doesn't want hunger, but it's too late to remove it, so now you have to collect steak every few minutes and be done with it." Expanding inventory slots, removing armor and replacing it with additional hearts, and removing sleeping, so that you can't simply skip past nighttime. You know, the hardest part of the game. On top of that, Eric wanted to add a horror twist to the game. Partially inspired by the scary old versions, and partially inspired by this strange personal experience where he combined two mods that did not work together at all that created a unique experience: Hatter's Skyblock and Total Carnage. Hatter's Skyblock with Structures is a Skyblock mod which is supposed to generate structures in the void, but instead it somehow generated a world without structures and without trees. Total Carnage took this liminal empty world and turned it from a spooky one into an incredibly hostile one, filling it with broken OP creatures that killed you in one hit. To anyone else, these two mods probably looked like sloppy entertainment for children. But for Eric, these two broken mods combined somehow to create a very unique game, saying even though the combination of add-ons was an accident, it was super fun breaking the regular Minecraft cycle and using the little tricks in a new context to try survive for as long as possible. All of that made me think, I want to make Minecraft but better. And so, after getting a month-long break from university, instead of making it another simple itch.io game, Eric decided to experiment turning his pet project into an actual Steam game. And he was laughed at for it. Eric posted a video of his new game to Reddit and was laughed at for creating a game that was too similar to Minecraft. I've never heard this story before. Although, to be fair, the video Eric posted wasn't doing itself any favors with the blocky Minecraft hand and similar textures. So while this initially frustrated Eric as he believed his game was different from Minecraft, instead of lashing out at his critics for criticizing his game, he used their criticisms to, and I quote, "unleash my creative energy rather than make something Minecraft-like." You can tell he succeeded based on what Lucid Blocks looked like by the time I played it. The Minecraft-looking hand is replaced with a realistic one, a hand that actually holds the real-world equivalent of whatever's in your inventory. What? Was this like green screen, dude? How'd they make this? There's unique sprites for pretty much any item you can think of, which is just huge attention to detail. The rest of your inventory is even more unique. Spoilers. If you don't want Lucid Blocks spoiled for you and want to play it when it releases, skip this entire section of the video. This is the part where I talk about the game. Lucid Blocks might have the most confusing UI out of any game. Well, I mean, not confusing in a badly made or cumbersome way, but in a I have no idea what this means and I desperately need to find out way. When you create a new world, you're not making worlds, you're making qualia. When you open your inventory, you're not looking at a crafting menu, you're looking at apotheosis, paraphernalia, rosary. Rayman! It might not look like it, but this first step is a very intricate crafting system. Combine items in the wheel to create something new. Die alright? The fun part is, no matter what you put into the wheel, it will always create something. Always. Every item in Lucid Blocks can be fused together to create something else. Sometimes that thing isn't very interesting, but other times it's an entirely new tool. A mannequin capsule? Whoa! What? This game actually feels like a dream. Like, what the hell was that recipe? Glass and a pickaxe. Oh, now you figured out how you leave the door, huh? Can I get another guy to help me out here? Oh no, he hates... Uh-oh. How do I counter this attack? Right, we build. He's hurting himself. What a buffoon. You're so stupid. Yeah, come on, hit yourself. He's come to watch the brawl. It must hurt to be this stupid. You're... This is mine. Oh, I have the ball one now. If that entire sequence of events felt like a nonsensical dream, that's because it was designed to feel like one, as the creator enjoys making surreal dreamlike games inspired by Yume Nikki, LSD Dream Emulator, Hylex, and the more recent Disillusion stuff. LSD Dream Emulator is probably the best comparison to Lucid Blocks in terms of gameplay. It's an old PlayStation 1 game where the player doesn't have any set goals other than to explore the strange world in front of them. And it is a strange world. You walk into a wall and suddenly you're transported to a completely new location. It doesn't make sense, but neither do dreams, and that's basically what the game is about. Lucid Blocks is very similar in that you don't have any goals other than exploring the mysterious world you're given. Sometimes that world looks vaguely reminiscent of Minecraft, other times it looks like something from a fever dream, and other times you find the Backrooms library hidden deep underground. If there was a difference though, it would be that Lucid Blocks, like a real dream, has the capacity to turn very scary without warning. Oh, not you. Get out of here. No! My tiny bro! Oh, what? This is how it feels to be in a nightmare. Where did you... I didn't even see you spawn. You just sort of appeared. As terrifying as that is, that's somehow not the scariest thing that's happened to me in Lucid Blocks. The scariest thing I experienced was this video posted by another playtester. And let me just show you this. Okay, so it's just like this person playing around, normal stuff, right? Just normal Lucid Blocks gameplay. And then there's a... What is that? There's a creature in the water. This singular moment retroactively haunted me because I had traveled across so many oceans, some of them deep enough to give people thalassophobia, and you're telling me this creature I had never seen before was watching me the whole time. The experiences you find through exploring is why I described Lucid Blocks as a game that discourages building. That's right, we're finally getting back to this. It's not that you can't build a house if you really wanted to, it's that there's no reason to do so. In my conversation with Eric, he explained how he doesn't want Lucid Blocks to be one of those games you play forever, saying, you know how Minecraft has those forever worlds where you're constantly adding stuff and building things? I want Lucid Blocks to be more like LSD Dream Emulator or Yume Nikki, where the game feels more like a portal into a world that you explore and learn about, rather than an actual game. I think it loses the charm if it feels like another grindy sandbox. In truth, the point of Lucid Blocks is to explore, so much so that when you die, you're transported to a completely new part of the world far away from where you died, and your inventory is randomly combined together. You're still technically in the same world, you didn't lose anything by dying, but with how much has changed, you might as well not be. There is a story you can follow, which will eventually lead you to the ending, but interestingly, Eric doesn't actually believe most people will care about it, instead stating the story is whatever the player makes of the world as they explore it. So, to finish this section off, I'm going to show you my story with this game. And it started with... The Void. Oh! I don't know if you've noticed, but something very weird is happening with this clip. When you fall through the world in Minecraft, you slowly get killed by void damage. But in Lucid Blocks, there isn't any void damage. In fact, the cause of death seems to be something I came in contact with. At the time, I didn't think much of this, I just assumed there was an instant kill wall down under the void. Until my second encounter. What even is this? There's just a bunch of pillars hiding underneath the world. That's what killed me last time. I didn't die from an invisible wall, I died from fall damage. But how could somebody possibly get down here? Did you see how far I fell? There's no way you can get down there. Or so I thought. In the My Bee Bestie video, the creator of Lucid Blocks showcases the Buzzy Bee, an item which is clearly the perfect tool for void exploration due to its gliding capabilities. It took me a while to figure out how to craft the bee, but eventually I remembered the classic recipe: pickaxe plus ribbon equals bee. Soon after creating my best friend, I dug down to the bottom of the world and found something new. Instead of the usual flat ceiling of the world, there was this black rock protruding from the bottom, seemingly connecting all the way to whatever was down there. I traversed this pillar using my grappling hook, slowly climbing down, and while it did take me pretty far, there's still nothing but void at the bottom. The only way to progress was still using the bee. But then I died. Apparently the bee does not prevent fall damage, it only reduces it. However, this is not what I saw before. It only appears for a split second, but this place under the void is completely different to what I saw last time. In fact, it looks kind of familiar. It looks like one of the surface biomes that I've seen several times. And come to think of it, those pillars also look like something that generates on the surface. Is there another Lucid Blocks world underneath the Lucid Blocks world? I was never able to confirm or deny this theory because I was never able to land safely on the land below. Although on my final attempt, I did find this squishy, fleshy eyeball biome. Once again, it looked like it would go somewhere, but no, there's nothing here. However, I have one more tactic up my sleeve. One little trick that works every time. The Steam discussion forum. You'd think that because this is an early playtest, there would be no one typing here, but you would be wrong. There is but one post in the Lucid Blocks discussion, and conveniently, it is about my exact issue. The author describes themselves digging down underground before, like me, they fell through the void. Only this time, they actually landed underground and documented their experience. I landed in what seemed to be a completely new biome. A biome full of red blocks with grotesque textures as if they were a real living being. It wasn't the same as the surface. It wasn't the flesh biome. This was a human skin biome. I can't get those disgusting sounds out of my head from walking on them, feeling how every step is suffering for a living being. And then I saw it. A mirror. At first, I thought I would see something related to the game. However, as I got closer, I realized it was nothing more and nothing less than myself. Not my in-game self, but my real conscious self. What the hell is this? This is not a guide on how to reach the underworld. This is a poorly written creepypasta.
And I, Teto Bear, feeling sad about it, taking advantage of the fact that I saw my pear-shaped reflection, I took out my guitar and started playing Machine Love by Jamie Page.
I can't believe I fell for someone's made-up story in 2025. No one knows what's underneath the world. I will never know what's underneath the world because of how mysterious this game is. That's the thing with Lucid Blocks. Because of the way it's structured, I have no idea if I've seen 90% of the game's content or only 10. And that's a scary concept. How can you comfortably play a game you don't know everything about? The fog could be hiding any number of terrifying monsters you haven't seen yet, all waiting to jump out the moment you least expect them. Minecraft may seem like a scary game to some, but in the end there never was anything hiding outside your vision. In Lucid Blocks, there really is something deeper hiding within the game. Except like a real dream you just woke up from, you will never be able to understand what that thing was. Can you believe such a concept partially spawned from a Minecraft slop mod? I mean, I guess to some people Minecraft in general is just slop, but like, that just goes to show inspiration can come from anywhere, and if it comes from a silly Minecraft mod or even Minecraft itself, then that's okay. You can still make great things from that, as is proven by Lucid Blocks. Now, I want to be clear here. In no way am I using this video to say that any of these games will kill Minecraft or replace it, because I don't think any game can replace Minecraft for me, and at this point there will never be a Minecraft killer. Trying to get an indie game to sell 350 million copies in this day and age seems absolutely impossible. What I'm more interested in is examining this recent trend of Minecraft-style games popping up, because although it's a very nascent trend, there are yet more games I didn't get to talk about. Many of them outright borrowing Minecraft style, or at least doing something very similar in a voxel engine, and it's difficult to know how to interpret all that, because trust me, there have been some awful predictions in the past. In a 2012 Guardian post, an author wrote, "Fortresscraft is coming to the PC, where the rivalry with Minecraft is really set to explode." Yeah, that never happened. I don't want to say anything nearly that stupid. I imagine that author probably goes to sleep every night, dying from embarrassment from that post. I cannot think of a more confidently wrong prediction. So instead of assessing these games based on whether they can compete with Minecraft, I just want to say this. What we are seeing here are the creations of the generation who grew up playing Minecraft, passionate game developers who know the game so well they can list out its flaws and their plans to fix them. And maybe you think this is all stupid, maybe you think their changes aren't the best, but you can't deny there clearly is an audience for this sort of game, because much like the developers, there are many players who also notice these flaws, itching to play anything that offers an alternate experience, whether that's harder survival elements, better progression, or maybe something that captures the dreamy horror elements of Minecraft, and I think that's a great thing. So, to finally answer the question, can you make an original game if you're obviously inspired by Minecraft? Yes, yes you can. The comparison I made in the beginning with Rogue was secretly unfair, because Rogue has the advantage of being 45 years old. That's a game that came out in 1980. All the roguelikes you know that came out today came out after 2010. That's 30 years after the release of Rogue. Minecraft is a game that's not even 20 yet. The phenomenon documented in this video is only just beginning.
So do you think you're ever going to break out of the Minecraft label, or do you think you're forever going to be known as like a Minecraft clone?
That's upon the player whether they compare to Minecraft or not. I don't mind.